I remember Christmas being one of my favorite holidays, and even now, who doesn't love Christmas? Getting to decorate your house with everything in sight, with lights and garland and the Christmas tree. One of my favorite things was getting the greeting cards from family members and friends and seeing all the pictures of the little ones with the crying Santas, and that's special. So for me to get my latest diagnosis 2 days after Christmas was a little crushing. And I'll never forget that day. I remember waking up in mid-December with these migraines at 1 a.m. and thinking, oh my gosh, am I gonna start having to deal with migraines now? But these weren't normal headaches. I mean, I would wake up and then I would get sick and then just keep getting sick and not holding anything down. And this went on for about a week. I had gone to urgent care. They told me, just let your body write it out. You've got the stomach bug. I called City of Hope and told them, hey, something's not up, something's not right. They encouraged me to come in to do some imaging. On Christmas Day, I finally threw in the towel. I couldn't take the pain anymore. I could barely eat, and I couldn't even hold down what I could barely eat. Christmas Day at the ER is not fun, but it was empty, so that was kind of cool, not having to wait any, more than 20 minutes. As they took me in, I was giving them my medical history, telling them my symptoms, and I'll never forget, the nurse said, well, how do you know this is a migraine? And I thought, I don't know. I've never had a migraine before. I just know that I'm sensitive to light, very, very sensitive to noise. But I just feel so weak at this point that I'm not sure I even have a migraine. So the doctor ordered a CT scan on my head, on my brain, and thought, this would give us some answers as to why my head was pounding so much. And as they took blood work, another, test to see what else could be an issue, he came strolling into my room after my test and pops in his head and said, by the way, we found your results to have 2 tumors in your skull, but not to worry, they're totally benign. You've probably had them for a long time, hasn't even realized it. So many people go throughout their lives, tumors in their head, it never affects them. But we still haven't found the issue, what's going on with you. We're still running some tests, I'll get back to you. And then he just walks out. You can't imagine telling somebody who has a history of cancer that you have found 2 tumors in their head and brush it under the rug. I thought, somebody has to know. My doctor, my oncologist has to know. I know it's Christmas, but I called City of Hope and trying to get a hold of anybody. Of course, I got voicemails, and I just thought, he did not just tell me that I have 2 tumors in my head and walk out of this room. I'm trying to eat at this point. I'm trying to get, they're trying to hydrate me with fluids. And a couple hours pass, another doctor comes in. They're making their rounds. And he tells me, hey, I'm going to be taking over. Good news, I found out what was wrong with you. You just have a bladder infection. That's why you're getting sick. We're not sure the severity of the headache, but we're confident that we're going to give you some antibiotics. You'll get to go home, take these for 5 days, and you'll be okay. So as stunned as I was, and as shocked, I went home. And I still could barely keep anything down. I was having trouble eating and drinking water, so it was hard to even take those antibiotics in the first place. And the following day, City of Hope called me and told me, please come in. We'd love to run our own imaging on you. And as I was going, I just remember feeling incredibly weak. And, granted, I'd been, sick for, 5 days prior with these migraine symptoms and, couldn't hold anything down and throwing up. I get the test done at City of Hope and I go home. And the next day, I just remember waking up and I just could not get out of bed. I could barely move. I could barely open my eyes because everything was so bright. And I just wanted to be left alone in the dark and with zero noise. Well, I have a 1-year-old, so nearly impossible. And I thought to myself, I'm desperate to get some sort of normalcy feeling right now that I was willing to go back to the ER. And as I'm going, I walk into the waiting room and it's a 6-hour wait. And I'm, again, so desperate. I sign in, I sit down, and I'm just thinking, I feel like shit. And just as I thought that, things couldn't get any worse, I get the phone call in my hand, City of Hope. So I'd walk outside to take it, and it's my doctor, my oncologist. And he tells me, Ashley, we've gotten your results. I want to confirm with you that you do have 2 tumors in your skull. However, we also did a scan on your chest, and there's a small tumor that reappeared on your rib in the same area. We have reason to believe that the Ewing sarcoma has returned. It has somehow traveled up to your brain, to the skull, because it's a bone cancer. And I'm sitting outside on this park bench by myself, and I was angry. I was upset that this doctor, the same doctor who treated me and told me 9 months ago that I was cancer-free, is telling me the cancer has returned. Not only in one spot, but now we have a new area to deal with. So I let myself cry. I just cried. I didn't know what else to do at this point. You hear you have cancer the first time, you think you can handle it. Try hearing you have it again. It was upsetting, to say the least. But at the same time, I was glad I wasn't home. I was glad that I was by myself to kind of take in the news and not have to immediately explain anything to anyone right away. And as I sat there, he told me, let's, get you on some medication, some steroids to help with the swelling. I believe that's what's causing you to get so sick, and we can control that. We can move on to the next step. So I'm trying to take this new prescription, these steroids, and I cannot hold anything down. I'm talking, I would take a sip of water, I would give myself 30 seconds, it would come right back up. So he convinced me to come in to get admitted, to get the steroids through an IV drip and get some hydration in me. And depending on my status was when I would be able to go home from there. At this point, it's already December 29th. We're creeping up on New Year's Eve. And I just told myself, I refuse to stay in this hospital on New Year's. I have to start the New Year's at home at least. So I kind of faked it till I made it. I was able to hold dinner down. I was able to hold breakfast down the next morning. And somehow convinced my doctors that I was okay to leave and I was okay to be discharged to go home, with the promise I would continue my medication orally. So the good news is I got to spend New Year's at home, and the plan was to come back on January 2nd to meet with my doctors to formulate a treatment plan. If there's anything I can ask, is just for your continuous prayers. It means a lot to me, and I feel the power of prayer, and that's really all I can ask for, is for that support. Thanks for watching, and I will be sure to update you very soon with the results from my biopsy. Until then, much love.